Welcome to the Joy of Coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 283 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. We're going to be hacking on some Firefox stuff today. I'm going to try and do what I've been doing the past couple weeks. I'm going to try and take advantage of the wide diaphragm microphone and kind of do like an ASMR, like low volume but high texture stream today. We'll see how that goes. The commentary, people seem to like this, so I'm going to give it another go today. All right, but before we get into that, I'm going to start by sharing my screen. All right, so it's March 16th, 2022, episode 283, and a reminder that no plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. I think I know how I want to get it done, but, you know, I might get sidelined. I might not get all the way through it. Things might go horribly wrong. My build might break, and I have to deal with it, but that's part of the fun. You get to watch me get in and out of trouble, and that's all right. The second thing I wanted to let you know is that the agenda that we're looking at, this thing with all the handy-dandy links, is available to you if you want to check it out. And it will be updated automatically as I edit it. So if you're watching this on YouTube, check out the video description for a link. If you're watching this on Airmozilla, it's in the details section. And if you are watching this on Twitch, then I'm going to drop the link into the Twitch chat right now. Boom. Hopefully you saw it. And yeah, you should also check out the episode guide. It was recently updated. Oh, someone says, what is the overlapping text in the top? Overlapping text in the top left corner. Is there text up here? Are people seeing overlapping text on Twitch? I'm not seeing any text on my monitor here. If anyone else is seeing it besides Pizza Pocket, who just commented on Twitch, let me know and I'll investigate. But I'm not seeing any text in my my monitor of my stream, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. Yeah, you should check out the episode guide if you're interested in knowing what goes on, what has gone on in previous streams. It's got handy dandy links. It's not a problem with the stream. I think it's something on desktop. Yeah, I don't. Where is it? Is it over here? All right, I'm pulling up the stream. Apparently, there's something wrong. Let's check it out. This user is on Twitch, so let's watch that stream. I'm going to keep it playing here. I don't see any text. Like, is it this text? Oh. An ad block. Oh, well, hold on a second. I guess I got to wait 20 seconds for this countdown to finish. And then I'll be able to sort of see what was going on. But I didn't see any unusual text, Pizza Pocket. I don't know what you're seeing. Maybe if you take a screenshot and post a link somewhere and I could take a look at that screenshot, maybe I'll be able to help figure out what you're talking about. But like, I don't actually see any text except for this stuff, like whenever I'm hovering it with my mouse. But I don't see any text in the top left corner. Below the Apple logo. Oh, this stuff? This right here? Is this what you're talking about? Like this thing up here in the top left? What's the overlapping text in the top? All this? Oh, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I have a really messy desktop. Okay, I understand. I have a really messy desktop, and I'm sure that these are like various screenshots I've taken over the years. And I don't want to show you my desktop, but it's just covered in icons. It's just a mess. It's just an absolute mess. And I have a feeling that the window, like the tiling sort of logic, I've overloaded it. It doesn't know where to put stuff, so it's just like overlapping things now. And so this is a bunch of like overlapped items on my desktop, and it's just really unorganized. So let's not worry about it. I don't want to get too sidelined talking about my poor desktop organization strategies, but that's what's going on there. Okay, phew. I'm glad it wasn't a problem with the stream. So what do I want to do today? Well, first of all, I'm going to switch over to ASMR mode. Okay, here we go. So last week we were working on migrating some documentation on XPCOM hash tables. We'd pulled that documentation over from the MDN archive, and we were editing it and working on it, and I put it up for review, and I got some review feedback. So let's take a look at that review feedback and maybe apply some of that review feedback, some changes that were recommended by Nika. So I'm going to go ahead and rebase the patch that I wrote here. I have to find it first though, so I'm going to use HGWhip to find the patch that I care about. Here it is. I'm going to rebase that onto Central. So I'll just take a quick second. And then I'm going to update to that change that I just rebased, because when you rebase, it doesn't automatically update you to it. You just move a node in the tree. So I'm going to now update to that revision. And then I'm going to build the docs. So that's with mock doc, and then I pass it a directory. And meanwhile, while that's building, we can take a look at some of Nika's feedback. Okay, so apparently we want to use NST hash set here instead of NST hash table for a hash set. You actually want to use NST hash map over these types in basically all cases. Let's drop these rows and instead mention that you should use either NST hash map or NST hash set, depending on if you need a map or a set. Okay, sounds good. So we can just have two. Like, which kind of hash table should I use? Do you have no data? Like, there's no key? Then use a hash set. Is there a key? Use a hash map. NST hash map. Okay, so here we go. Here's the built documentation. So let's start editing it. Well, let's pull up Nika's feedback again. Let's pull up this file. So the first piece of feedback was actually up here. Warning, hyperlink target what is a hash table is not referenced. So I'm going to actually get rid of that because it's not referenced. That's done. Sylvester pointed out that this array link is broken, which is absolutely true. So let's just remove that link. And then down here, we're going to say hash set. NST hash set. And then for literally everything else, you want to use an NST hash map. Numbers, booleans, strings, custom structs. Here, we better wrap this. Custom structs, classes, interface, pointers, etc. Okay. So we have to put our pipes in here. Put a pipe there, and then we need another pipe over here to close off the table. And we can just copy this one there, move this back. Okay, and then we can get rid of these other rows. Appropriate hash table class used depends solely on the data type. Template specialization to use depends on the data type of the key. Is that true? A template with two parameters? Let's take a look at a usage of NST hash set. I think that's just going to be yeah, it's got a template with one parameter. So I'll say NST hash map is a template with two parameters. The first is the hash key. The second okay, so that's done. That's done. Nowadays, if you're using NST hash map or NST hash set, you often don't need to use special key types and can instead use the type directly. You can also use the hash key type if you need custom keys. The first key is a hash key, and the second is the type of data to be stored in the map. The value in the map. You can instead use the type directly as the key so long as it's supported in NST hash map. Okay, so maybe we'll link to that instead. You, most of the time, you can simply pass the raw key type as the first parameter so long as it's supported by and then NST hash map. There is also the hash key type if you need a custom key. And maybe we can find an example of that hash key. Hash key type, like hash key which the hash key type was hash key type. I wonder if does Nika mean the key class type or key class. Key type. I don't know what Nika's talking about. It is also possible to specify custom keys if necessary. See keys for examples. Yeah, like how does this do it? Whoops. BLD hash entry header. I don't know if that's true anymore. NST hash map. What kind of keys do people tend to pass? NS ref pointer hash key, uint32 hash key, and where are these defined? In NS hash keys. Okay. And there's integral hash key, which okay, yeah, all right, for examples. So you can do that. And then we can probably just get rid of, well, maybe this table is still useful. I think we had done this check. Yeah, people were using these, so it's okay. So I mark that as done. And then let's switch these to use the actual modern format, like NST hash map. C string DOM window. Okay. Boom. Hash map uint32 and then to a float. And then hash map supports and then hash map JS context to context info. And finally, hash set of strings. Okay, done. The put method is now insert or update. Perhaps we could link to base hash table for documentation about the specific methods here, and in the future we can expand upon the documentation with examples. Okay. The hash table class will expose the same basic API. There are 3 key methods: get, insert, or update, and remove. Get. Right? Yeah, get, and then remove. Yeah. C, and then we'll put in this link here. What's it called? NSBase hash table. .h. For more details. Okay. This isn't generally important for new code, but for legacy code we can mention it. The hash tables that hold references to pointers also have getWeak methods that return non-oddref pointers. The NSRef pointer hash table, interface hash table, and NSClass hash table effectively act as legacy hash table types, which have a couple of extra methods and don't have automatic key type handling yet. Okay. Note that NSRef pointer hash table, interface hash table, and NSClass are legacy hash table types, which have some extra methods and don't have automatic key type handling. You can also iterate all these. Iterate class cleared via the clear method. You can also iterate via the iterate class with normal C++ 11 iterators, or using the keys values ranges, and all can be cleared via the clear method. So I'm going to put these inside of the backticks because they're methods. Whoop. Iterator class. Clear method. Okay. Done. That file's done. And then what was the other thing I wanted to do? Oh yeah, there's another file in here that I think is we wanted to say like hash table detailed. Yeah, I know here that recommendations in this document are out of date and to check the guide instead. Some of this information is quite old and may be out of date. If you were looking for how to use XPCOM hash tables, you should consider reading the guide instead. Implicit target name PL hash table. Right. I think we can get rid of that. Wait, really? There's more than one. Well, let's take a look and see what it looks like now that these have built. Let's reload. Anything else? Oh, the formatting here is kind of busted. Numbers, Boolean strings. You know, I wonder if we even need a table here. If there is no key type, you probably should you should use an NST hash set for any other if there is a key type, you should use an NST hash map. If there is no key type, you should use it. There is a key type. Yeah, hash set. If there is a key type, you should use hash map. Okay. Oh, this is broken. Support if necessary. C, and then what did I do here? Oh, it needs the underscore. For some reason, that's how links work in RST. I think this table is kind of misleading. Yeah, I think this is better. This is better. Okay. Let us commit this and put it up for review again. Oh, not Git. I'm not using Git. Let's just take a look at the patch. Scooby-Doo. Yep, that's fine. Amend and post for review. Smurfd says, right, daylight savings time has happened again. That's right. That's right. Everyone's got to, deal with the time change. The time change. But if rumor has it that maybe the United States not going to do the time change anymore. They're working on that. That'd be great if Canada could follow suit. That'd be great if we could just stop changing the time arbitrarily and just confusing people. I always feel bad for people who work on date time and time zone conversion libraries and date time handling libraries, because what a mess. What a mess. Okay, so that's up for review. That's what I wanted to do there. The second thing I wanted to do is work on this bug here. And I'll give a little bit of context about what's going on. You may have seen me in a previous episode working with some intermittent test failures. And one of the tools I was using to investigate an intermittent test failure was the start at and end at arguments to run a range of tests within a folder rather than the entire suite. And that's because, a folder can contain many tests. And, running them all might take many minutes. And it's handy to reduce the feedback loop time to as small a feedback loop as possible when you're working on something. So you take that and you couple it with the fact that sometimes an intermittent test failure, or a test that fails only some of the time, sometimes the reason that it's failing is because of some test earlier on in the sequence left some state lying around, or change the scheduling of threads somehow, or put some event on a queue or whatnot. And just like when the tests run, when it fails, it just happens to tickle it in just the right way that, certain conditions are met, and we fall off some kind of behavioral cliff and the test fails. And those can be tricky to track down, but it's easier to track it down if you can sort of like run just the window of tests that create that, previous state that if you can run the tests leading up to the one that fails intermittently and do it with chaos mode, I find that sometimes that helps to reveal what's going wrong with the test. As a quick example, there was a test, an intermittent test failure recently that simulated the position of the mouse over something. And in a later test, because the way mouse simulation and mouse synthesizing works, mouse event synthesizing works in our test suite, when you synthesize the mouse in a certain location, it leaves the mouse cursor there. And a later test was checking to see what the hover state was of something, and some CSS had changed such that the item that the hover state was we were checking on happened to move underneath where the synthesized mouse was. It was just like an awful confluence of events. But this thing started to fail, and it was because a previous test had moved the mouse. Anyway, long story short, it's sometimes handy to run a whole series of tests in a Moki test file and not the whole directory. And the start at and end at arguments are supposed to help do that. But the problem is that these manifest files, there's not a whole lot of... there's kind of a convention of putting them in alphabetical order, but there's nothing that like actually enforces it. In fact, I can see that like there's case insensitive alphabetical ordering right here, where we have a capital I intermixed with a bunch of lowercase i's, and we got a couple of... I'm certain this file is not completely in alphabetical order, and that's because sometimes people just like hand roll putting in things inside of the test manifest, and the sort of the issue is that our test framework, our test running tool, takes these manifest files and internally sorts them alphabetically, so that it does execute in alphabetical order, and that execution does not map to what we see in the manifest. Now, initially, when we were talking about this, I was talking with a couple of our like build and test and automation engineers here, and we thought, well, enforcing alphabetical order inside of Moki tests manifests is going to change the execution order, and that's going to reveal a bunch of more interesting test problems. Like changing the order that tests run in is also a great way of revealing a lot of problems in your tests and fragility and sort of hidden assumptions about getting that cause the tests to pass. And while that can be good for shaking out test failures, that's not the purpose of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it so that the Moki test file reflects the execution order. And because the execution order isn't alphabetical, and because we don't want to change the execution order, what we should do instead is try to enforce that Moki tests are in alphabetical order. And the way we can do that is by writing a linting tool that checks to make sure that any changes to manifests result in the manifest being in alphabetical order. And then we slowly start to migrate all the manifests to be in alphabetical order, and we remove entries from an allow list that allows for violations until that list is 0, and then all of your tests are manifests are in alphabetical order. That's the idea. And yeah, like the general playbook for something like this is write some kind of tool that prevents the problem from getting worse, create a list of all the places where the problem exists, have that automation run so that like if people try and make it worse, it like the linting bot will say don't do it. And then in your allow list of pre-existing problems, burn that down. So you kind of like stem the bleeding, and then you heal until you've converted all the files to alphabetical. You get rid of the allow list, and then you're done your conversion. That's the playbook. And we've done it many, many times for many different things. So the first thing I want to do here is write a linter for our Moki tests. I've never written a linter before. We do have linters for our Moki tests already, or our Moki test manifests. Our linters are in this folder called, I think it's under Python. Is it tools or is it Python? It's under tools, under lint. And there's just like a whole bunch of utilities here that will do linting on things. You know, it'll do linting on our Fluent files or on our preferences or, you know, our JavaScript or our C++ and Rust. And there's one, this is an interesting one. There was a recent sort of theoretical vulnerability in source code where like the RTL, let me show you the vulnerability. Trojan source was the vulnerability where like the fact that you know, RTL strings, there are special Unicode characters that will reorder the tokens in a patch, like the execution order, and the compiler will abide by them despite your editor showing things in LTR. And that means that what you look at might not execute in the way that you expect. And so we added a linter to try and detect those things. And that linter, I guess, is called Trojan source. And I don't actually know how it works, but I think it like analyzes the text looking for certain like reverso characters. I guess there are disallowed characters that will do the reversing. And I guess it's these. So yeah, I want to add a new kind of linter. I don't think our current linters, I can expand upon them. So for Moki test manifest, there are two pre-existing linters. They're actually just regular expressions, very simple linters that just use regex. Because each linter has a YAML file and declares, you know, how it works. And for example, that Trojan source one, here, let me actually put a link to this Trojan source thing in the agenda because you might all find that interesting to read up on it. The Trojan source one, here's the YAML file. We give a description for it, and then files that we exclude maybe, and then the file types that we want to run the linter on, and then, you know, what actually needs to be executed in order for the linter to run. And in this case, it happens to be this, like, there's a Python package, and I guess it's called like Trojan source lint. And I actually don't know how it's like Trojan dash source :lint. I guess that's how you name it. This is you naming it, because you can run an individual linter and not all of them. If you go like mock lint and then help, I think you can actually get like a list of all the linters, -- list. And I'll bet you if I change this to be like Trojan source mconley :lint, and I run that again. Oh, well, do I have to build it? How does this work? Oh, maybe this is the name. And I don't know what the payload thing is then. Whoops, I didn't want to build again. There might be some documentation I can read. So maybe we'll start there. Again, I've never written a linter before, so let's check out some documentation if we can find any. So lint, perf docs. There's no readme. Is there anything in the moz.build about linting? Firefox build system lint and formatting. Maybe there's something in Firefox source docs. Lint. You're watching me just kind of like learn about this stuff. Linting. Linters are used in Mozilla Central to help enforce coding style and avoid bad practices. Running linters, fixing lint errors, editor integration, linter specifics, adding a new linter to the tree. This is exactly what I want. Linter requirements. See, this is why I love documentation in Firefox source docs. For a linter to be integrated into the Mozilla Central tree, it needs to have any required dependencies should be installed as part of mock bootstrap. So I think in our case, I'm going to be writing a new linter. I'm not going to be like using any special packages. Really, I just need to like look at the manifest and make sure that any this is how a manifest looks. You know, it's got these different sections, and then there'll be in square brackets these items that are the tests. And there are other things in the square brackets as well, like default. I think we should double check and figure out what the other special ones are. But for the most part, between the square brackets, these are the tests. And those we want to make sure they're in alphabetical order. And we can ignore all the skip ifs and all of the sort of like support files and stuff. We just want to like strip those out and look at the square bracket stuff and make sure those are in alphabetical order. Yeah, at the bottom, please keep in alphabetical order. Very good. So let's do that with automation and tools now instead of putting a comment at the very bottom of the file. That's in DOM-based test, Moki test. Okay. Running mocklint command must pass. Note, linters can be disabled for individual directories. Task cluster tree header integration, in-tree documentation to give a basic summary, links and other useful information. Unit tests to make sure that the linter works as expected and we don't regress. And the basic review group, or the review group, is linter reviewers. So this might be more complicated. It might be more than a single episode's project, but maybe we can spread this out over a couple of different episodes. So basics. A linter is a YAML file. Depending on how the type of linter, oh man, there may be Python code alongside the definition pointed to by the payload attribute. Here's a trivial example. Ensures that string eval doesn't show up for all JS files. String payload eval. Now no eval YML gets passed into lintroller read. There are 4 types of linters, though more may be added in the future. A string, it fails if a substring is found. So this one will look for the substring eval in all JS files. Interesting. Regex, fails if a regex matches. External, fails if a Python function returns a non-empty result list. Structured log, fails if a mozlog logger emits any lint error or lint warning error log messages. As seen from the example above, string and regex linters are very easy to create, but they should be avoided if possible. It's much better to use a context-aware linter for the language you're trying to lint. For example, use ESLint to lint JavaScript files, use Flake8 to lint Python files, etc. Which brings us to the third and most interesting type of linter, external. External linters call an arbitrary Python function, which is responsible for not only running the linter, but ensuring the results are structured properly. For example, an external type could shell out to a third-party linter, collect the output, and format it into a list of issue objects. The signature for this Python function is lint, then you get files and config, where files is the set of files to lint, and config is the linter definition defined in the YAML file. Structured log linters are much like external linters, but suitable for cases where the linter code is using Moz log and emits lint error and lint warning logging messages when the lint fails. This is recommended for writing novel gecko-specific lints. In this case, the signature for a lint function is lint files config logger kwargs, and maybe that's what we want to do. Let's see if we can find one that uses structured. Oh, this is type global. This is different. What? I got a feeling some of this is out of date. Type global. Are there any that are type external? Maybe that's what it means. Oh, type external here. Type global. And there's something called lint roller. Maybe we should look at the source code of lint roller. Global. Global linters lint the entire tree in one job. Aha. Okay. Interesting. That we don't want. We don't want to do an entire tree. We just want to do individual manifest files. So do we have one? What was the linter type that we wanted? Was it not external, structured log? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search tools lint structured log. Okay. Only perf docs uses structured log. Testing Talos. Perf docs. How does that work? It takes in that function and that will run perf docs. Run perf docs, build up performance testing documentation dynamically by combining text data from YAML files, and then it will like log certain things, I guess. Logger. Perf doc logger. Interesting. Verifier. And then logger warning. Maybe this is more complicated than I need it to be. Maybe we could start with external and we'll fail if the Python function returns a non-empty result list. Maybe what we could do is we just like find the first entry that's out of alphabetical order and say like, okay, this thing is out of order. And maybe we could like then put it in alphabetical order and show people like, okay, here's how it should be. This is the order it should be in. The other thing I want to know is I think we have a bunch of stuff that already knows how to parse our special ini files. I'm trying to think where it is. Like our Moki test ini, like ini, where is it going to be? Maybe under testing. Whoops. I just want to browse the source tree, people. Okay, testing under Moki test. Is there a thing that reads the ini files? Something about manifest library? What does manifest library do? Parse test manifest. exclude tests in manifest. I got a few. I don't know if this is used anymore. Joel wrote this in 2013. I apparently reviewed some stuff here. Wow, okay. Test URL. Obj. HTTPS first disabled. Where is that? Okay. So somehow an object is being parsed out of the test manifest. We're requesting the test manifest. Open get test manifest. Test manifest. Await test manifest. Simple test setup, get test manifest URL, params test manifest, and test manifest. Somewhere there's a manifest parser. Ah, manifest parser. Moz build. Okay, manifest parser. Under Moz base. Python. Where's Moz base? Is it under testing? Aha. Aha, okay, I think we're in the right spots. Moz base is a set of easy-to-use Python packages for a supplemental standard library from Mozilla, provides consistency, blah, 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 blah. And one of the things it has is a manifest parser. Library to create and manage test manifests. See this documentation. Yeah, this is exactly what I want to parse. Create, manage, test manifests. Manifest files are selections done. The sections are read in order. Let's include other manifests. Does it say anything about alpha? No, it doesn't. Okay, so I can at least read these things in. What is the API for using this thing? You can like filtering manifests. So here we go. Filters, failures, filters, run if, subsuite, filters tag, default filters. Usage example. Oh, you can actually just like use manifest parser on the command line. Let's look at the tests actually, because I feel like oftentimes I find that tests are a great way of learning how to use a thing. So it looks like there's a test manifest class of some kind exported by manifest parser, and you can pass it a path to an ini file. And then there are properties on it. I guess that's done synchronously, and then you can like look at the active tests. Do you have to look at the active tests? Can you look at anything else, like all of the tests? Runs filters found in default filters. It also accepts two convenience arguments. Exists. If true, filter out tests that do not exist on the local file system. If true, do not filter out tests containing the disabled key. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay. I'm starting to build up some confidence here. Now, how do I know whether or not I can use this package? Is there anything not under testing that uses manifest parser? From manifest parser. So it looks like Python, under Python it's used, under task cluster it's used. I should maybe from lint it is used. Okay. I'm feeling more confident. So let's create a Python package, which I guess is a directory, and we'll call it test manifest. Well, what is the convention here for a Python package? Can you just, I guess dashes is okay. File dash white space is fine. Okay, so test manifest alphabetical. Okay, and we're going to also create a test manifest alpha. Maybe I'll just call it alpha.yaml, and we'll move test manifest alphabetical to test manifest alpha. Test manifest alpha.yaml. We're going to put some stuff in here, actually. Let's put it in Sublime. Okay, so let's copy shell check. Sure. Description. Conditions joined by blah should be Moki test manifests should be in alphabetical order. Manifest tests should be in alphabetical order and include so I can exclude a whole bunch. I think we probably want to copy a lot of the contents of this other one. Description, exclude extensions, level, warning, type, external, payload. And then what's the way that we use a Python script like perfdocs, or what? File white space, that's a good one. I'll use that as an error example. You just give it the name of the directory and I guess the function within, yeah, okay, the function within it. Okay. So test manifest alpha lint. Okay. Now let's create an ini file, or an init file rather. And we will throw in some boilerplate like the license and bringing in the manifest parser. And then we need a thing that's going to accept those arguments like this. Sure. And then I'm just going to say like print hello. And then does it have, I guess it has to return the results at the end. It has to return some kind of structure. Yeah, what is the lint function supposed to return? Probably also change shell check in the YAML file. Got to run, but if you have regex later, this is a nifty site, regex 101. Oh, change shell check. Right, did I still have shell check in here? Shell. Oh, yeah. Test manifest alpha. Great. Thank you. Good eyes. Good eyes. Now, what is the return value? Lint. Return value. Results. Append result from config. We can return a number. We can return a list, or load the line level equals warning. Append result from config. Maybe I'll use the fixed white space example here. And what is fixed? Oh, if it'll actually fix it. No, that's not what I don't think we're going to actually fix it. We'll just return results. And what is result? From config. Result is from moslint. I see. So we need to import that as well. And then we're going to say result from config. And I don't know what the signature is behind this. Let's just return the an empty list for now. All right, let's see if we can get this linter to run. Mock. Well, first of all, does it show up in our list? Test manifest alpha. All right, now can I run it? Mock lint. I think the argument is -L to choose a linter. Yeah. L test manifest alpha, and then I'm going to pass in an ini file. Hello, missing parentheses and call to print. Oh, right, sorry. This is old school, that's some old school Python. Hello, so it prints at 1. Okay, so now what happens if I want to return an error? So I've got this result. Can I say result from config, and then what's res config and -- res or * res? What is from config? Okay, I need to learn more about what a moslint result is. Moslint result.py represents overall result state from an entire lint run. So there's an issue. I can create an issue. And then there's this global from config. Creates an issue from a linter config. Convenience method that pulls defaults from a linter config and forwards them. and then it will create an issue based on whatever args I pass in. An issue will take a couple of attributes. Name of the linter. Pulls defaults from linter config and forwards them. I guess this will take care of a number of things, and then I can say whether or not what the level is, the line number. Okay. So like result.from config. Res, and then you can supply these things. Okay. So let's pretend that I want to return this. Is this going to work? If I go path, paths 0, line number 1, column number 1, and I just say like Saba blah blah. Okay, what happens? It seemed okay with that. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to return, I think it's actually an object with results. Or what you'd call a dict in Python land. Unhashable type list. Self results. Results append result from config. Results is a list, is it not? Yeah. So I guess I can't. All right. Results dot append, and then I'll do this, and then can I just pass in results? Does that work? Unhashable type list. What? In line 20, unhashable type list. So the list is this. This is a list in Python. Why are you upset? Results is a list here too. File white space. How's it called? External payload file white space lint. Okay. And there's that like little line at top. I don't think that has anything to do with it, but okay. And then why you append from config res, then you return a dict from lint with oh, wait. I think I have to, right. You can't just use a literal. Right. And it's looking for fixed. unsupported operand, int, and list. Oh, it's supposed to be a number, I guess. Hello, 0 problems, 1 warning. Now, how do I make it say what the warnings are? Like, should the level not be a warning? Should the level be something like more serious? What does file whitespace do? Level. Disable. This is skip if. What if I get rid of level warning? There we go. Okay, 1 error. So far, so good. Okay, now the thing I want to do is for each path that comes in, I want to parse the manifest. I want to then check to see what order the individual tests, are in. And I don't know if I can supply a line number. And what other things does it expect? It's like level, hint, suggestion for fixing the error. I could like line offset rule, source code, context of the error. Line offset, just describing the changes that need to be made to the code. That'd be interesting. Well, let's start by parsing each path. So let's see here. I'm a little disorganized. File whitespace. So for each path, oh, this is interesting. Expand exclusions. Moslint path utils expand exclusions. We probably want to do this exact same thing. Use whatever path utils came with this, and Moslint path utils expand exclusions, and produce a list of files in the exact same way. Just cargo culting a little bit. I don't actually know what that does. In fact, let's take a quick peek and see if we can figure it out. Returns all files that match patterns and aren't excluded. This is used by some external linters who receive batch files, example DIRS, but aren't capable of applying their own exclusions. This is an argument to be made that this step should just apply to all linters no matter what. Okay, so this will make sure that we do the right thing and exclude certain files that we don't care about. Great. And then for each file, we're going to open it. Well, actually, I don't think we're going to open it. I think we're going to pass it over to manifest parser or test manifest. So for F in files, let's actually print the file. Let's see what happens if I do that. I should just get, yeah, I got the name of the file. So we're going to say, okay, pass test manifest. I think, how does this work? Test manifest. You pass in manifest path. We were looking at slash test slash. Yeah, here. No, we were looking at something else entirely. Under testing, MozBase, manifest parser, tests, test underscore manifest parser. So we already have our path. We're gonna parsers, manifest parser. We're gonna read it in. Now, can you? I think we can do test manifest. No, I want test manifest. Test manifest. That's what I want. I pass it the path in a tuple. So manifest equals test manifest, and then here's a named argument. We're gonna pass in a tuple f file, and then say strict equals false. Here's a comma here, and then I want to print the active tests. And we'll say disabled equals false. Or maybe I'll just not do any of that other business. All right, let's see what happens now. Whoa! Oh, I forgot I was supposed to be doing like I'm supposed to be doing some kind of like ASMR thing right now. What is going on? Is this thing some kind of like recursive? Wow, that's a humongous object. Wow. Yeah, okay. Let's go back and read up on what the test manifest parser class test manifest, and then active tests, and then we want the defaults here. I think it's fine, and then it's going to return a list of tests where each test is. Tests are what? We filter it. Test values. What is the structure of a test? Let's look at the documentation if we can find it. Yeah, manifest parser. Right. And then each test is an iterable set of test objects in dictionary values. So what is a test object? Timeout if. What, can I just get the name? What I'll do is I'm just going to do this is how I use the Python debugger. You put that line in. Oh, it doesn't like it. Failure occurred. It does not like the fact that I was in PDB, the debugger. Well, never mind then. Could I instead print dir manifest? Like, just give me all the property names. Oh, right, it's a list. Print dir manifest 0, the first one? Oh, no, it's not. Paths. Okay, just give me the tests. Is that a... So that looks like a dict. Tests. Keys. I don't want the properties of the keys. I just want the keys themselves. Method. So call. Okay, here pref support files name. I can get the name and the path. I think the name is what's important. So what? Dict keys. Oh, do I Do I do it like this? Is that what you want? Is this what you want from me? Yes, that is apparently what you want from me. Okay. It's been a while since I've used Python. All right. Okay, so now I can get the names of all of the tests. Can I get the names of all of the tests? Like for test in manifest.tests, print test dot or test name. Can I do that? Oh, hang on. Again, old school Python writer here, not getting the new business with how print works. Okay, good. So I've collected all of the names of the tests. So what I want to do now is check to see if they're in alphabetical order. And maybe the easiest way to do that is actually to sort them into alphabetical order and then compare the two lists. And then yeah, let's see here. And then the first one that doesn't match, I guess we'll print that name out. Because like then there's just a whole bunch of other, there are going to be a bunch of other failures after that. Like it'd be nice if we could produce some kind of diff between the two lists. Like does test manifest allow me to like produce update test use creating manifests, create a manifest, so you can create filter, skip if subsuite, default filters. Can I like write a manifest? Seems like maybe yes. Manifest parser. Right. Methods for output. So that is on a manifest parser. So I can pass in, I can write a manifest given a query. Now I don't actually want to write it to the disk. Oh, can I get the right FP get value return? That's interesting. Stir of self. Stir self. Like, can I write self standard out? Yeah. What happens if I like say manifest.write and don't pass anything to it? Well, it produces like all this stuff, which is not exactly right because like it's including all of the sort of the default files for each test. And I want to just sort of keep the munch to do the query globals will be written at the top of the file. Locals, if given, will be written per test. Manifest.write. Any examples of it being used? for an install manifest. Def inner. Create manifest. Interesting. I think I am maybe making this more complicated than it needs to be, but basically the parsed representation of the manifest kind of unpacks a bunch of like common stuff. Like at the very top of the file, there's like just a bunch of support files that are by default applied to every single test. And I don't think when we write, we put those defaults at the top. Like we just put them on each test, which is what's making them just humongous. Like, here, let me run this again, but pipe it through less so we can take a look at the top. All right, first of all, we've got our test running, our thing that just emits all of the file names, or all of the test names, and then we go through each test. What we really need is to supply we want the globals included. So how does write work if you want to get the globals? Global tags, global keyword arguments. For global tags, how do I get the global keyword arguments? Can I get the defaults? Defaults. When you handle defaults, if not set, do not propagate manifest. Individual test objects. Calls are expected to manage per manifest defaults themselves. Ooh. So maybe when we create the manifest parser, we actually don't want to handle defaults. Yeah, there we go. I think anyways. It's putting new lines between each one. Is that something I can tell it not to do too? Right. Each path. Print. And the path. So it looks like what I might need to do is just kind of suck out all of the new lines manually. All of the new lines manually. This is interesting. So JS test script loader, skip if verify, support files, and then it doesn't, it de-dents them. So I don't think actually diffing is gonna do what I want. Originally I thought it would like output something relatively similar to what's input, but it changes it too much that where I don't think a diff is gonna be helpful. So instead, let's just list the names of the tests in the order that they should be in. That's what we'll do. So I want to create the list of tests, and I think I can do that. Test names. I think this is what we want to do, like for test and manifest, like a list comprehension. Does that work? Again, I gotta put this in brackets. Whoops. Ah. Oh man. Oh man. Put this in parentheses. Just struggling with my Python here, eh? How do you do a list comprehension? I gotta remember Python 3 list comprehension. That's just sort of a way of, oh come on, x4, oh right, test for test in x for x in iterable. Woo. Okay. Test, I want test name. Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I wanted. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then I want to create a copy of that and then sort it and then compare the lists. So I'm trying to remember how you create a Python 3 list copy. To copy list, there's a built-in list copy method. Okay. Sorted test names equals test names dot copy. Well, does sorting Python 3 list sort, does that create a new one? Sort. A simple ascend sort is very, very easy, just called, oh, it's a top level function. You can also use the list sort method. It modifies the list in place. Okay. But what does sorted do? It returns a new sorted list from an iterable. Okay, that's what I want. Sorted. Now, is that just a global? Do I have to import it? Sorted. Is it like Python sorted? Oh, okay. Top level. Top shelf. Okay. And then I want to compare the two. Basically, I want to just like run along for what's the way of iterating in Python, iterating with index? Python 3 iterate list with index. How to loop with indexes in Python 3. Enumerate. Python list enumerate. Oh. Python tips. Enumerate. Value. So what do you get? You get an index and then the actual value if you pass an enumerate. Okay, so for index test name in enumerate test names, if like sorted test name equals sorted test names index. If test name is not equal to sorted test name, then we're going to append a result. Blah 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 in here, and then that res thing. What was its path, line number? Now, does the manifest tell us like what the issue line number is? Like line? No, it's. I think at this point, once we're parsed, we've lost the information on like what line a thing was from, which is unfortunate. But we can say path, file, and then rule. not going to pass in a rule. That doesn't make any sense, but I can say message. Optional. Unfortunately, I can't actually, I must supply these things. Line number. So maybe I need to like go back through this file and find the test name in square brackets and produce the line number. Okay, I can figure that out. And then column. I'll just say 0 for now. Actually, question mark. And then message, name of the linter. I think that's taken care of for us. Severity, either warning or error. Severity, or level rather. Level, warning. And what else? Suggestion for fixing the error. Hint, put this entry before and then sorted test name. Name of the rule that was violated. Optional. Line offset denotes an error spans multiple lines. No. Diff describing the changes that need to be made to the code. No. Okay, so I feel like I can do this. And we've got like, I'm 5 minutes past, but I'm going to try and do this in the next couple minutes. I'm going to spend another 10 minutes, see if I can get line numbers printing. Thank you very much. I got coffee delivery. That's lovely. Let's see if I can get some line numbers, column and line number in here, and then the test, and I think it's I'm gonna put it in square brackets. S is out of alphabetical order. Test name. Put this entry before, and then what I want is to put it like on the next or after the previous one. So what I'll do is hint equals put this test entry at the top of the list. If index, hang on, if index, so if test name, we need to find the index of where it is in the sorted test list, and then say put it after this one. Find the index, subtract 1. If that's 0, say put it at the start of the list. And if it's, how could it be -1 maybe? If I find it, I find the place where it is. I need to find the index of where it is. If the index is 0, say, hey, put it at the start of the list. If the index is the very end of the list, say, hey, put it at the end of the list. If it's somewhere in between those two things, find after, or before, find the one that's before and say, hey, put it after this entry. That's what I'll do. Okay. But let's also get the line number. So read lines. Python read lines. Oh, do we? I wonder if it'll just give us the manifest parse. Will it just give us the raw lines too? Like, would it self read? Internal recursive method for reading, parsing manifest, or read file, split path, include file point, join, start, right? Read any, read the configuration. And that comes from .ini. So we don't have the old stuff left over. Enumerate, file pointer, read, split lines. Is the file pointer... I guess we shouldn't mess with the file pointer. We should create a new one. So Python 3 file IO. I think there's like a with such and such, like we with open, yeah. Here with open such and such, with open file. Can I say like just for read only? Just dash R. Yeah, R just for reading as F. And maybe this should be file name. Because it's not a file. File names. File name. Okay, and then open file name as file. And then we're going to say lines lines equals like, how do I find the line number? Like Python find line number. Certain place in the file is exactly what I want. Stack Overflow. Okay, look up. The dog barked. What? You open it. You enumerate the file. Is that really? We're gonna have to do this each time. It's kind of a pain. Enumerate. What is the second argument to Python's enumerate? Can I get some like Python documentation here? Enumerate. Start. Oh, to like returns a tuple containing a count, which from start defaults to 0. Oh, so I can say whether or not I want it to be 1 indexed. Interesting. Because, yeah, like this is line 1, not line 0. So with open as file, enumerate my file. What I really want is like, we're going to create a hash table of each line. That's what I want. Line hash equals that. And then for line number, line in enumerate file 1, and then we'll say line hash line equals line number. And then what we'll do is line hash equals line number. I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna trim it. Can I do that? What's Python trim white space strip? And then we've got our map here. So line number equals line hash, and then test name dot strip. Oh, don't need to strip it. Test name, yeah. Line hash. Let's see what happens if I run this now. I'm very curious what will happen. It exploded. Expected stir bytes or OS path like object on line. What line? Oh, expected stir bytes or OS path like object, not a text IO wrapper under path. Oh, right. I want to use file name here. Huh. So we got a bunch of warnings. I want to print the warnings. Actually, maybe they shouldn't be warnings. They should be errors. The test such and such is out of alphabetical order. Is that true? Is area anchor area referrer not in alphabetical order? Is there something that's supposed to be first? Maybe what I'll do now is I will run the sorted test names. Print sorted test names. So it thinks that event source redirect should be first. Test event source redirects. Is that really supposed to be first? It's putting like the capitals first, and I'm not entirely certain that's how it's actually sorting it. Yeah, I don't know if the Moki tests run in case insensitive. I can actually test this. Mock test DOM base content. What is it? DOM base test. Test Moki. And then I'll say Moki test flavor plain. And then I'm going to call it once I'm done this. Once I've figured out this So yeah, it tries to run. It decides, okay, I'm going to skip a couple of these. I wish it would have stayed open. Oh, it does run event source redirects first. Then image constructor. Then node iterator. Wow, this is taking a while. But it seems to be running it in the order that I had. Yeah, and then it does test anchor area refer. Very interesting. So this file is wildly out of alphabetical order already. So we've already found some issues. Stop. Okay. So let's run it again. We don't have to print out the sorted list anymore. What I really want now is a is the hint. Now, how do I get the hint? Is there a hint argument? Hint. Grep hint. What is hint used for? Moz lint roller. Hint. Okay, Moz lint hint. Try Baz instead. And what's done with it? I don't know if the hint is actually used. Yeah, I don't think it's used. Like the message is used. I think. Hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. Roller. Message. Moslint. Here, let's see where line no is used. The formatter. Stylish. Does anything ever use the hint under Moslint formatters? Hilarious. The hint is not used at all. Okay. So my whole like, hey, let's put fix lint errors possible. Any errors that cannot be fixed will be printed as normal. It'd be lovely if there was a way we could like regenerate the list in alphabetical order. Well, let's do a smaller directory and see if we can just fix it and see what happens. So there aren't that many tests under my About Home Startup Cache stuff. So browser components, new tab, tests, browser About Home Startup Cache, browser.ini. Hey, it loves it. So we know for a fact now that browser components, new tab, test, unit, or test browser, about home, startup cache. This is in alphabetical order. And so it is. So it is. So let's add our linter, tools, lint, test manifest alpha directory. Now there's this like pi cache thing. I don't want to include that. I just want to include the init.py, add tools, lint, test manifest alpha.yaml. And then let's see here. Add a linter to enforce alphabetical ordering for test manifests. Mocha test manifests. And this is definitely a work in progress still. Now, how do I know that this is a Mocha test? I guess like the file needs to be browser.ini, mochitest.ini, or chrome.ini. Those are the rules. So maybe extensions. What's the or there are paths? Can I provide like a wildcard? Extensions, like when files change. No. Adding the linter to the CI. I want to match things that like are like any browser.ini. I don't want to exclude, I want to include. Support file, exclude, include. So can I provide like okay, include can I provide interesting fluent lint extensions include just looking at examples here. I want like to see the stars, like the double stars. Exclude. Okay, well it doesn't look like I'm gonna get those, but let's see if we can just use it anyways. Something like this. Like oh yeah, basically like this, except I want to include I don't want to include the manifest parser tests. Are there any mochitest.ini files that are under like test manifest? Yeah, mozbuild test backend test manifests. Manifest parser, mozbuild. I just don't want to include a bunch of these, I think. Like the anything under test manifest. Python mozbuild. But everything else is fair game. So include mokitest.ini, browser.ini, chrome.ini. Now that's not fully exhaustive because there are going to be files that I think mokitest, like in our Moz build files, anything that's listed in here is considered a valid yeah. And they tend to be called Chrome ini, mokitest ini, and browser ini. But they don't have to be. But maybe this is good enough. Maybe we don't have to solve this. Like this one wouldn't match. Mokitest-serviceworker.ini. That would not match. But we could do something like test or mokitest dot ini. Something like that might work. And then we are not going to include anything under these. Python, Moz build, backend data. All right, let's see what happens if we just run the whole directory. So mock lint l test manifest alpha. It's gonna run the whole tree. Paths in the include directive cannot contain globs. Man. So that's no good. Yeah, I'm not sure how we're going to then match I don't know how we're going to make sure that we are only doing, because like we use a lot of ini files for things. I don't know how we're going to make sure that we only match the things we care about. Linting entire tree. This might take a long time. And this one already failed. Key error. Test locale aware indexes. That's interesting. So we are already getting some errors there. And we should figure out what those are first. Right, go up here. What were those errors? Test locale aware indexes. Oh, that's interesting. So that's one of the support files. So of the test names, somehow it got test locale aware indexes. Even though that's not listed in here. That's interesting because I'll bet you that test is actually running. What we've probably found is a case of these tests running but not being listed. Test locale aware indexes. Okay, well, we can look in that later. I think what I'd like to do, though, is put this up for preliminary inspection from some of our testing and automation people to see what they think of this. All right, so let's rebase that onto Central, push it up for review, and then I'm going to call the stream there. Hey, thank you so much for watching episode 283 of The Joy of Coding. Vinit Kami says, hey, you got Audio Technica too? Are you talking about my headphones? I think these are Audio Technicas. Yeah, they're very nice. I got these over the holidays, the winter holidays. They were a gift. I like them a lot. Very high quality headphones. Maybe a little too good at blocking out noise sometimes, because sometimes I'll not hear the doorbell ring, and that can be a problem. Submit, tip, single, whip. Only complaint is the missing microphone. Well, yeah, I mean, if you want a headset, there are other headphones you can get. I think these are mainly used for like mixing and like listening to high quality playback. I'm using a Rode NT1 wide diaphragm microphone. Check 1 2 for speaking right now, and it's doing the job for me. Okay, so I've posted this up for review. I'm gonna need info Ahal and see what he thinks. Hey Ahal, I've got a whip up in such and such. Does it look like I'm on the right track? I haven't set up any of the task cluster stuff yet. The doc stuff yet. I should mention that I was reading this. I've been reading this wonderful documentation, but I haven't set up in the task cluster or doc stuff yet. Does it look like I'm on the right track though? Request from Ahal information. All right, and I'm going to call it there. Hey, thank you so much again for watching episode 283 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. Let me know what you thought. You can rate the episode by clicking on this link in the agenda. I'll also put... Oh, the rate this episode link is completely busted. My bad. Let me get a proper link here. Copy link. Why is that broken? There. And yes, there is no meeting next week due to unavoidable meetings. And you can rate this episode by following this link. I will put a link to this in the Twitch chat right now. Boom. There's the link to the rate this episode form. And again, yeah, no episode next week. I've got some unavoidable meetings, so I won't be streaming, but I will see you the week after with episode 284. Thanks again for watching The Joy of Coding. Have yourselves a great day. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.